Hi everybody, this is Howard, the Teaserking. Basically just recapping week 2 in college. I'll do one on week 1, just my thoughts and analysis on the teams. Another huge week in college, going just on my picks. Another 16, 17 winners, and the only loser being Arkansas. I did push on the overs on the Oklahoma and Oregon, Michigan State, and I know the lines are varying depending on where you get them, and I usually take the best line, so I was able to push, which is in a teaser, it's a push is a push, but picking the games, the only loser I had was Arkansas. So I've had 2 losers picking the games, so I'm about 30-2 this year. Picking the games and teasers. Again, Arizona State week 1 and Arkansas week 2, which I don't know how anybody could see that coming. My locks, I had 3 college locks and 2 pro locks. They all 4 out of 5. I could have also, I locked USC based on Idaho being terrible. They gave up 45 to Ohio at home, and I knew USC was going to light them up. Georgia Tech's putting up 65 on a week 2 Lane team who Duke put up 37 on them, and I could see they were having problems with the option, and Georgia Tech's gonna kill them. And then Arkansas lost, which is just stunning. And the reason I locked it was because Hunt, the All-American running back from Toledo's out, and I'm figuring, and they only scored 16 points. I don't know where Toledo got this defense from. And Arkansas out-yardaged them 500 to like 2 something. So I don't get where Ark only got 12 points, but it's just one of those games. They're going to have to pay for it later when they go through, play Alabama, Auburn, all the teams they got to play, LSU, Ole Miss. Good luck getting the 6 wins. You're losing to Toledo. Other games I was thinking about locking: Georgia, but I don't like their quarterback, and at Vandy. Vanderbilt's terrible, and they're a play against team this year. And then Memphis, Kansas. Memphis is a very explosive team, great quarterback. Kansas lost to South Dakota State, has really not a lot of offense. So I thought Memphis would kind of whip them, but there comes to a point of how many games do I lock, and I love New England and Green Bay in the pros, so it became a real, like, what do I do with it? So I locked the 3 that I thought were the strongest. The other 2 I could have locked. I just played them. I actually played them together, a Memphis, Georgia teaser. Real quick, looking at some teams that I like or dislike. I like Western Kentucky, putting up 41 on Louisiana Tech's very impressive. I like Georgia Southern, even with the backup quarterback, putting up 43 on Western Michigan. Michigan State only put up 34 on Western Michigan. Georgia Southern's a really strong running team. Obviously, the quarterback, Ellison, being out is not hurting them. I was surprised Western only got 17 when they scored 24 on Michigan State's defense. That was a little surprising. Penn State looks very weak. After a loss to Temple, only putting up 27 on Buffalo, I thought was very weak. Houston winning on the road at Louisville is very impressive. Louisville doesn't seem to have that Bobby Petrino offense that normally puts up 50 points. They're struggling, their quarterback. I know Houston doesn't have the greatest defense, but Houston putting up 34 I liked. They'll be a live dog this year. Ole Miss putting up 70 on Fresno State. Fresno State's bad this year, but they usually recruit. They usually have good players, so that's very surprising there. Temple beating Cincinnati. They're just very strong defensive team. You just got to look at them as a very good defensive team who's got enough offense. They're going to shut everybody down. Another team I like is Duke, who covers and covers and covers. They're like 90% versus the spread the last 2 or 3 years. They didn't play this week, or they played some weak team, but going forward, keep an eye on Duke. Ohio State, I think, kind of they won 38-0, putting up 21 in the 4th quarter. We know Ohio State's explosive, but I think because they played Monday night in a tough game with Virginia Tech, that they're going to be flat against Hawaii. But this week I'd look for them to put up a nice 50 or 60 point game on. Wake Forest looks really weak, losing to Syracuse without quarterback. Hunt was out, and they lost 30-17. They're not scoring. They don't have a quarterback. Bet against Wake Forest. Missouri looks weak, only beating Arkansas State 27-20 when USC put up a 60 on Arkansas State. It doesn't have much of a defense, so I'm not sure how strong Missouri is. Eastern Michigan puts up 48 on Wyoming without their quarterback. Their backup must be really good. Eastern's been terrible, but now they're showing me you go on the road and you put up 48 on Wyoming. I know Wyoming's not great, but neither is Eastern. They're in the same talent base, so that's very impressive. Eastern putting up 48. Keep an eye on them. USC, Idaho, the reason of the lock was Idaho gave up 40 points to a weak Ohio offensive team. They're a pretty good defensive team, but offensively they're terrible. So if they give up 45 to Ohio at home, I knew they were going to give up. I thought 67 was my number to my buddy, and they came in at 59, so I apologize that they only won by 50 when I said they'd win 67-9. USC looks for real. Very strong, balanced offense. Defense, we'll see what happens in the conference. Idaho is a good passing team. I was watching the game. Idaho throws the ball around a lot. But USC, did dominate. Oregon State looks terrible. Michigan, very good defense. Beat them 35-7. That's about a little bit high. I didn't think Michigan would score that much, but they ran it down their throats. I just think Oregon State's very weak this year. Georgia Tech looks very strong. Tulane looks very weak. Georgia Tech's gonna. I don't see them losing too often this year. They're the real deal. Georgia, Vandy, the quarterback's weak. They ran it down Vandy's throat. Vandy's a very weak SEC team. They lost at home to Western Kentucky. But the surprise was they held Western Kentucky to 14 points, which I was kind of shocked on. Their defense looked good against Georgia as far as against the pass, but basically Georgia wore them down. BYU's backup quarterback looked really good. Really, they put up 28 on Boise, and then they got a pick six at the end. So that's impressive. Notre Dame loses their quarterback and their running back. Let's see how good the backups are. They'll be okay, but Notre Dame's lost a lot of running backs. I think 3 are down. Virginia's a good defensive team, so putting 34 on them was pretty good. But again, with all the injuries, I'll be curious to watch Notre Dame. Cal looks really strong, holding San Diego State to 7. San Diego State running back Pumphrey, who's like All-American. Surprised they didn't score more, but Cal is a very explosive offense. Get them as a dog, but now if they have a defense, then really look out. I'll keep an eye on Cal. Memphis, very explosive team. Be a live dog in conference. Puts up 55 on Kansas. Kansas is terrible. Again, Arkansas losing Toledo makes no sense to me at all. I would make the same bet if they were playing this week, especially with their All-American running back Hunt out. I was just really shocked that they held Arkansas, but my theory works 9 out of 10 times, not every time. The Air Force looks strong, killing San Jose State. Bowling Green, very explosive team, beating Mary 48-27. Not surprised they won. Not surprised they put up 48. They looked very good. Arizona beating Nevada by 24. I just don't think Nevada's that good this year. You got a new quarterback, Cody Fajardo's out. He graduated, so looks like they're pretty weak on defense. They're not scoring a lot. SMU putting up 31 on North Tex. SMU was the worst team last year, so maybe they're getting a little bit better. I'll wait and see. North Texas is terrible this year. A&M beating Ball State, not a surprise. I am a little surprised Ball State put up 23, but in these, when you score 56, you probably got your backups out there early in the third, so because they looked really strong against Arizona State A&M's defense. A lot of blitzing. Oklahoma, Tennessee. I think Tennessee will be a live dog this year in the SEC. Oklahoma, I don't know. They look pretty weak. They came on in the fourth quarter, but basically you're looking at a 17-17 game. And so I think Tennessee's defense is for real, and Oklahoma's defense is pretty good. We'll see what happens. I don't think they can handle Baylor and TCU, though, Oklahoma. And for that matter, I don't think Tennessee could either. Oregon, Michigan State, loved the game. I predicted a little bit higher scoring, but I predicted 41-37 Michigan State. They won 31-28. They had the game 31-21. Oregon could have won it at the end. The guy was wide open and he overthrew him. But I think had they scored, there was a minute and a half left, Michigan State would have drove down and won the game. Oregon's defense, not that impressive. State's defense, it's a good defense. It's not that great defense. But we'll see. Michigan State, Ohio State will be an interesting game. I think Oregon bounces back this week. We got to look at the quarterback. He's hurt his finger. He's listed as questionable this week, so we'll keep an eye on that. UCLA, just awesome. 37-3 over Vegas. Vegas is a weak team, but UCLA looks like they're all there. I'll be betting them as a dog anytime I can. That's about it for week 2. I think I didn't say Temple. Temple looked very strong. If I did say it, I'm sorry to repeat it. But those are what I'm looking at as we go forward. I can see like who I want to bet on, who I want to bet against, and that's really the key. It's basically the art of war strategy is bet strength versus weakness. I try to take advantage of the weak teams, but I got to spot them. And then who's the strong teams? Like a Memphis all of a sudden pops up, a Temple, Bowling Green. So you got. I'm kind of disappointed this week. Bowling Green plays Memphis. I'm like, you know, you really don't want them to play each other. So I'm thinking over, and they made the over is like 78, 79, 80, and it's really hard to play an over. It just seems when they make them in the high 70s like that, they never go over. You know, all of a sudden one team wants to run the ball or something happens. They kick field goals, whatever, but those are usually, the games in the 60s are the ones that tend to go over. You tease it down to 50 and then they score 80 points. The ones that they make 80, now this is a game, Memphis, Bowling Green should go to 100. But we'll see. But I'm kind of disappointed they're playing each other because that's a beauty. You know, they're both good. Bowling Green's a great dog. Memphis is a great dog. So you want to keep an eye on those teams. But that's what I'm looking for now, and that's why it gets easier later in the season. The more I can see the teams and figure out the matchups, like Mississippi, Alabama this week, I'll be really curious to see Mississippi's offense. That is Alabama's weakness, is a good passing quarterback. Johnny Manziel put up 48 on them. Alabama's quarterback I don't like at all. Coker seems terrible. Really, they only put up 34 on, what was that, Middle Tennessee State or whatever, or, last week. So, I don't know. I think Alabama's going to struggle this week against Ole Miss, but I am curious to see Ole Miss against a good defense. And if they can put up, you know, I don't care if they win or lose, but if they can put up over 20 points on Alabama, I'll be taking Mississippi all year round. So let's see if their new quarterback's for real or not. I know the receivers, Treadwell and the tight end, are All-Americans, so they got the weapons provided that the quarterback's for real. So that's what you kind of watch now, and that's why as the season progresses you get better because you learn the teams. So really I'm on a super hot streak. In games picked, I've only lost 2. 17-1 first week, basically 17-1 the second week. So I'm 34-2. Again, losing the Arkansas lock and losing the Arizona State. Every other game picked was a winner. Now in my results, because I had Arkansas in 2 teasers, it shows 2 losses. and I understand that. But what I'm saying is, in the games picked, in just the games picked, it's 34-2. In the teasers, yes, of course, I lost Arkansas twice, and that definitely hurts. But I'm just talking picking the games properly. So that's what's happening. I'll come out with my week 3 college probably tomorrow, and I'll have a NFL week 1 review right now. Alright, everybody, thank you for watching. Please leave any comments or notes. Again, this is Teaserking, www.teaserking.com. Please ask any questions or comments. I'll be happy to help. My goal is for you to win. Again, I'm an analyst, and this is what I do, and I've been doing it a long time, since I was a young kid. Again, I started in the late 60s, so I've seen it all. Alright, everybody, have a great weekend. Good luck to you. Take care. Again, this is the Teaser King.